this will be the first year that I've actually made content revolving around the Goodreads Choice Awards. There's just a lot of books that I'm interested in reading this year, a lot of books that I'm predicting to love. So I thought, why not read nominees from the Goodreads Choice Awards until I find a 5-star? Fingers crossed that this is as easy as I hope it is. I have made a list of everything that I'm interested in, and I figured I would take you along as I made that list. So here is Past Cassidy. I won't lie to you, this is not the first time that I've seen this list, but I wanted to come on here and put a full TBR together. I do have ideas of what I want to read and things like that, but let's sit down, let's look at the list, and let's build a TBR. I have a little piece of paper here that I ripped out of Nick's journal really roughly. Oops. It's just like got our to-do list for everything in the house, so not like a journal. And then don't judge me if you see me pick up different drinks. I'm a 2-drink at once kind of girl. So I got a San Pellegrino here, and then I got a lukewarm coffee from earlier, and I will probably alternate between sips. But let's get right on into planning the TBR together. We're gonna look at romantasy right off the bat, and I can tell you that I am planning to start this video with Our Vicious Oaths. This is one that I'm excited about. I've heard good things about, but wasn't one that I thought, oh my god, 5-star prediction about, although I've heard really, really good things about the author's fantasy book, The Blood Trials. So that one's exciting, and maybe I will love a romantasy from her. I'm a little worried that I could be starting the video off with a 5-star starting with this one, because I actually am a chapter in and I'm really vibing so far. And that would be bad because I don't want this video to be one book long. So I'm hoping for a 4-star out of this one. If I'm being like completely honest, but it's enemies to lovers. I think it's an arranged marriage. All these things that I really love. There's like animal companions. I think the animal companions talk in your head, which is like a trope I love. So there's a lot of good things going. Otherwise, from this list, I've either read, DNF'd, or not interested in most of these. I could be convinced into trying Wild Reverence, but I don't think I'm actually interested in reading anything else from the romantasy category. I've read a lot of them. I've DNF'd a lot of them. I have plans for some of them. I'm saving a couple. I'm planning to do a reading booktuber favorites, and I have a feeling some of these will be on there. For the most part, I'm really not interested in the romantasy category, what I haven't read. I am torn between voting for Silver Elite and Direbound personally. I loved both of those books, so I think they will get my vote. Or The Songbird and the Heart of Stone I also loved. Let's go to fantasy because that's my next probably given. I already know what I want to read. I own The Devils, but I think I want to do an unsubscribe my wallet for the Fairy Loot Epic Fantasy sub, and that's where I own The Devils from. So I have plans for that one. I have DNF the Raven Scholar. I could be convinced into reading Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil, so that's a maybe from me. I have loved V.E. Schwab in the past, but I've also DNF'd a lot of V.E. Schwab. And then other than that, I'm literally dying to get to Red City, so I have to hold out on this one a little bit because this is my 5-star prediction. So this is the one that I think will be pulling out my punch to like read. So Red City is a must. I need to get to that. I'm very excited. I'm excited that it's on here. It sounds really good. And then I could be tempted into Alchemy of Secrets. I DNF Caravel, but I would like to try more from this author. Other than that, I'm not interested, but I will pull out The Strength of the Few if I've read too many books and I just need a 5-star, because I would bet money, I'd bet my life that this will be a 5-star from me. I loved book 1 so much, but I want to prioritize trying new books, trying new authors, trying not sequels in this video, because I feel like the sequels are a given for me. So this will be my like, if I need it, pick. But I'm hoping Red City will give me 5 stars. So we're really talking through the thought process here. Honestly, I don't know what I'm voting for in this category. I guess it depends what I read, because I've actually only read The Raven Scholar and I DNF'd that one. Romance is another category that I am open to reading things from. Tourist Season is something I am interested in reading. I have enjoyed Bryn Weaver stuff in the past, and I think I could enjoy this one even more since it's not just like a standalone, it's a trilogy following the same couple, and that tends to be something I like more. I'm also interested in First Time Caller. I've heard really good things about this one. This is more of a maybe for me. And I've heard really good things about this author in general. And then technically I could read Scythe and Sparrow because I have not finished this trilogy off yet, but I think I'm more interested in reading Tourist Season. So those are the two from here that like I'm really interested in. Mystery and thriller, another category that I read from. John Mars could be a maybe, but I'm not sure. I asked Lexi what I should read and she did not tell me this one right away, so I'm unsure. But I do know that I 100% want to read the new Holly Jackson, Not Quite Dead Yet. I've loved Holly Jackson in the past, so this also is probably a 5-star prediction, so it should probably go closer to the end because I think I could give that one 5 stars. Other than that, I'm not sure in here. Like, I tend to only pick up thrillers that like people tell me to read. I could try a Frida McFadden. I've never tried a Frida McFadden in the past, so if I'm desperate, you know. Let's go to horror. I actually have nothing on the horror list that I know about. Currently, Rachel Harrison Play Nice is getting my vote. I have an insider knowledge of someone who is reading these and going to tell me which ones I should read, but ones I'm interested in just like from synopsis, but not 100% committing to reading. The Possession of Elba Diaz, Blood on Her Tongue, How Bad Things Can Get by Darcy Coates. I've loved Darcy in the past. Hungerstone, Bat Eater, and I think that's it. Technically on this list, I've read The Lamb, I've read When the Wolf Comes Home, and I've read Play Nice, and Play Nice would get my vote. I should read the Grady Hendrix. I have a NetGalley arc of this, so I should read it. Maybe this is the time I read it in this video because it's been out for a full year and I still haven't read my arc. Young adult fantasy and sci-fi is probably the other category that there are things I should read in. I have not yet gotten to Rebel Witch, but as I said, I'm trying to avoid reading sequels. That's also a 5-star that I could pull out. I have read Immortal Consequences. What is the House Saphir? I need to look this one up. Hold on. Okay, I could be tempted to read The House Saphir. I'm gonna put that on my maybe list. I have not read Fearless yet, but I'm not expecting to give it 5 stars. Breath of the Dragon is something that I'm really interested in. I don't think that it's going to make it into the top 10, but I am interested in reading that. I've loved Fonda Lee before. Sunrise on the Reaping is probably getting my vote in this category. I love it. And then The Rose Bargain, I've heard good things about, but I don't typically like historical, so that is like an option, but not a set one. Let's look at science fiction just because this is another genre that I read, although I don't think that there's anything in here that I'm actually that aware of, so I don't think that I will be reading them. I have tried to read Adrian Tchaikovsky before. His stuff always does sound interesting. Shroud sounds kind of cool. I'm gonna put that on my maybe list. And I think that that's it for me, unless other people start coming to me and telling me things that I should read. Those are like what I'm really interested in reading currently, which I think is a solid list. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books on it. A lot of them are maybes, so I'm gonna have to like maybe pick them up in between because I am a little nervous that those 5 books could be all 5 stars. Like, I'm interested in all of them. They all sound really good. Let's see where this vlog takes me, I guess. As I said, I have decided to start with Our Vicious Oaths, and I'm a chapter in and already enjoying this one and nervous that it's going to be a 5-star. I like the setup quite a bit. We have our main character who is being sold by the king. She is the princess and she doesn't want to be sold, but I also feel like we set her up really well. She feels smart, she feels witty, she's got her own like animal companion that's like a giant flying lizard. She runs like a guard and has these badass female warriors with her. Like, I really like our main character already, and so then I'm hoping with this setup of her being married off for political gain, I have a feeling that she's not marrying the person she's gonna marry and she'll be marrying someone else or kidnapped by someone else or something, and I'm definitely enjoying that. I also have loved a lot of the representation already in this. We know the Goodreads Choice Awards sucks at representation. Authors of color get snubbed every single year in it, and that really needs to change. I've loved that we saw like representation of like the one aunt running out of bed still in her like silk nightcap that she wears to bed. I think it's important for us to see ourselves in characters, and I think that a lot of people, from what I've heard from experiences, have struggled with having to go to bed at like a sleepover or something and having to put this like nightcap on to protect your hair, to protect the curls, to protect the integrity of your hair. And I like that we are seeing some representation of that because it's nothing to be ashamed about. We all have different hair types. We are all different, but society has taught us that being different is wrong. And so I do love when I see more of that, and I think it's really important to see something so simple in a book like this so that you can really see yourselves. So I love that. I'm hoping for more stuff like that. I've heard really good things about this author in general, so I'm really excited to continue this book. And if you've watched any of my vlogs, you know what's coming next. I'm gonna go paint some of my new house and listen to an audiobook. I'm on chapter 18, which is 43% through and 222 pages. I almost updated you earlier being like, I fucked up and I think I chose a 5-star right off the bat, but something told me to hold out, and I'm glad I did, because the more I read this book, the less I like it, sadly. It started off very strong for me. It's a setup that I really like. It's kind of what I predicted. She is being forced to marry the High King. Then this other king in a kingdom that's at war says, nah, and he comes and he steals her away, and they make a deal because they both want revenge against the High King. So they end up in a reluctant allies to lovers pact situation where she's being used as a pawn because there's like a prophecy about her and the High King and things like that. And I really, really liked that setup. However, they have no chemistry outside of the bedroom. And my preferred story is not very smut forward. We've had a few smut scenes already in this book, and I personally prefer my characters for them to have their first scene together, intimate, to be a moment of coming together, body and soul. This like high impact moment around like 60, 70, 80% of the book, not early on. And I believe the first one was very, very, very early on. And since then there's been a couple more. They're definitely hot and heavy in the bedroom. They definitely have a lot of like chemistry there. And the smut is good. Like, it is good smut. I just don't prefer it. I just feel like they have no substance outside of those moments. They're really just thinking about getting each other back in bed constantly. And I just want more getting to know each other. I want more emotional development between the characters. And at the end of the day, I don't think this book is unique enough for me. The unique aspects of it, I do love. I think it's really fun that they both have these found families of their own, essentially. He has this group that he's grown up with, all with the same goal in mind, which was vengeance, and they train together, and they're like his royal court, like his personal guard, his, you know, people. And then she, as a woman, her father loved her enough to give her some stuff that women don't get in this world, and one of them was the ability to have her own little like army and kind of be raised and have, like, he called it a hobby of hers, but she built this family of warriors, all from non-noble families that bonded to these dragons, and they have this like nice little found family aspect. And I like both of those things quite a bit, but I wish I got to see more interactions with those side characters, more of those family moments. I wish I got to see them as a whole coming together and participating in conversations and just like having moments that aren't just let's get into bed together, which their relationship started with sex and so it's continued with sex, and it's not my preferred story. So like I am struggling. I probably could DNF this book, but I also think that if I finish it out, it would be a 3-star. Like, I'm not hating it. I'm enjoying it. I'm just at a moment in my life where I've been DNFing a lot of 3-star books this year. So part of me is like, do I bless and release this book and go on to something else? But then part of me is also really intrigued because the elements I like, I really, really like. I just don't think I'm going to root for their romance necessarily unless we have like a breaking point, which I'm maybe hoping for that. Maybe I'm hoping for a moment where they finally like come together and have like a deep talk or something like that. And I get to see more than just the surface level on both of them. I feel like I haven't really dig deep into either character that much. They are who they are on the surface with a little bit of like better intentions inside. I'm struggling, especially because I'm sad because I wanted it to be a 5-star even though I didn't want it to be a 5-star. I was like, what am I gonna do if this first book is a 5-star? But also, that's always a better feeling than a non-5-star. I don't know. Instead of reading, I'm probably going to watch some Secret Lives of Mormon Wives because that came out today, season 3, and I love this show. It's so dramatic dramatic. It's so unhinged. And then I think we are playing Phasmophobia tonight, which will be a nice little break. I've been grinding at the house every single day since I got back from New York, and I feel like I need a night off, and so I'm taking the night off. I need to chill. Nick obviously has to work during the days, so I'm there alone most days, but then he comes over in the evenings. And so yeah, I've been there a lot. I'm tired of painting. But we're almost done. We can move in soon, I think. Soon. Anyways, I'll update you with whatever I decide to do. It might be a tomorrow decision on whether I DNF or I continue. My brain says if you're thinking about DNFing, you should DNF, but also I'm nosy still. I don't know. It's been 2 days since we last talked. I was here yesterday. I did a full day of work and I ended up just listening to music because I didn't want to pick up the audiobook. So I have decided to DNF Our Vicious Oaths. I think that was a clear sign to me that I'm not interested in knowing how this concludes. I was just struggling with the romance itself and how sexual it was and the lack of chemistry. I think there were some cool ideas and I do think some people will like this. I just don't think it's my type of romantasy because I do prefer a slower burn story. I prefer there to be sex way later and not really upfront. I prefer their relationship to have to do with each other and their like personalities more than just a sexual relationship. So I have decided to DNF this one and I could not decide what to read next. So I ended up putting a poll on Patreon with a bunch of the books that I'm interested in. And they decided for me to read Alchemy of Secrets, which is in the fantasy category. It is Stephanie Garber's debut adult book. So she has written the Caraval series and then the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I've tried the Caraval series, DNF'd that one. I haven't tried the Once Upon a Broken Heart series because I just didn't think it was for me. But this one, something just caught my mind with it. Like I just thought maybe this could work. So I decided I wanted to give it a try. So I'm happy my patrons voted for it because I think I needed that push to pick it up. I'm not far in. I'm only on chapter 4. So like not a lot in, but I'm definitely intrigued. There's definitely a mysterious element to the story, and I think that's something Stephanie Garber has always been good with. As far as I know, like Caraval felt very secretive in its nature as well. And so in this one, we're following our main character who is taking a folklore class at some point in her college degree, but this class is literally not on any like listing. Like you can't just sign up for the class. You have to hear about it through word of mouth, and then you just kind of go to the classes whenever you hear about them, and then at the end of the semester your grade just happens to show up on your transcript. It's kind of like a secret class, given like a little bit of a secret society vibes. We're getting like snippets of the class, which is kind of cool because they're in, well, I can't remember the term that this is right now, but they say you, like they talk about you, and I think that that's really interesting in these little snippets we're getting in like the between chapters. But then the chapters are our character unfolding her thesis, and it's going to be on these like urban myths and legends about magic. And I think that there's something really beautiful about the story because it feels like magic could exist in our world. It feels very much like, what if these things were true? What if you followed the hints and you believed in them? And maybe you made a deal with the devil, or maybe you found the Loch Ness Monster. I just think it's kind of refreshing to read, and probably because I don't read a lot of things like it. There definitely are stories like this out there, but it's very particular for me to want to pick something up like this. So it could go awry. I could end up hating it. I could think it's boring. It definitely doesn't feel like a Casty typical story that I'm going to love, but there's like a mystery in it. There's like a mystery about like what happened to her parents. She has a sister, and her sister's off doing things that like we don't really know about. So there are like things that are really intriguing to me. I want to know what happened to the professor. Like there's so many little like elements that have been set up for me to be like, what is going on, that I'm really enjoying. And so first impressions are quite positive. I have been known to be very confident in my first impression and then come back in my second update and be like, DNFing, I'm bored, I hate this book. So hopefully that's not the case this time, because I personally could really use a win. I hope I'm on the right side of the internet that this makes sense, but this book is giving an episode of Warehouse 13, and I personally was obsessed with that show. So I am actually loving this, and that's a really big concern for this video. The way that all these mysteries are being set up, the way that these lores, these myths, it's so Warehouse 13 coded. Like, I don't even know how else to explain it, and I'm having a great time. Like, them going off to find like an object that shows up only on these dates, and it's really dangerous, and like people are dying, then there's people tracking down. Like, it's so Warehouse 13 coded. A little bit maybe more fantastical, but I think that's just because it's in book form, and I think that if you saw this in like video form, it would literally be Warehouse 13. Like, Warehouse 13 is very fantastical in its nature. It just doesn't feel that way since it's set in our world completely. But there are literally episodes that I could pinpoint in Warehouse 13 where I'm like, this just feels like that vibe. Like, this is not a copycat of Warehouse 13 in any way, but it's just like the essence and the vibe of them are so similar that I could see this being like the next generation of Warehouse 13 almost, and I would love that. So I'm honestly having a great time. I think my biggest complaint is the lack of character depths, but I think in a story like this, sometimes it's hard to do that because the whole point of the story is the mystery and the intrigue. And so I think there's more of a forefront for that. We're gonna learn things about our characters along the way as mysteries are discovered and solved and secrets are uncovered and things like that. And then also I would say there is probably going to be a lot of complaint on the internet about this being adult. I would still call it adult. I personally think it is, but I think there is a term that is almost needed as our generation has grown up. The generation that YA kind of like became a big thing with. I think that there is a new adult category, and I think lots of people say new adult talking about like romantasy and smut, but I think there is just like this age range. This is a college student. It is meant for the new adult generation, in my opinion, those 20s to 30-year-olds, the people still figuring out their lives. I think that there is a youngness to this, but not in the way YA is young. So I understand why it is an adult book. I don't think you could classify this as YA, but it has some of the simplicity, some of the same like coming of age themes that YA has, because in my opinion, in your 20s, you don't know what you're doing. It is such a coming of age part still. Like, I know people talk about like your teenage years being so influential, not knowing what you're doing, really figuring yourself out. I think personally in my 20s, I made a lot more character decisions of myself. Like, I became who I am in my 20s, and I'm still very lost at the same time. I've come into my own personality. I've come into like what I want as a person, who I am, what I value a lot more in my 20s than I ever did in my teenage years. The teenage years were more like exploring, in my opinion. It was a phase of exploration for me, like just testing the waters of everything, being brave, having a good time. And then my 20s were in some ways still that, I guess, but in a more mature way, like picking up hobbies, finding new friends, doing different things. Like, I don't know, to me, my 20s have been so important to who I am. The thing is, I don't think that'll ever change. I think I'm gonna turn 30s and I'm gonna be like, I'm still coming of age. Like, I'm still learning who I am. But I do think 20s, like your college experiences, your university experiences, just your experiences in those 20s, like going to the bars, doing all of that, are very formative. And I don't know. I just think that this could be its own demographic very easily. I think that new adult could be really easy to categorize. And there's just like a tone thing. It's like not quite YA, but it's not quite heavy duty adult. And I think it's my favorite type of story. I think the fantasies I tend to like fit into this category a lot. They're less long and dry. They're more relatable for me and direct. And I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm procrastinating cleaning. I've been vacuuming and mopping and trying to scrape paint off my floors because it just inevitably happens when you don't cover your entire floors. You're gonna get some paint on it. It does come off pretty easily. It's just like tedious. So I'm procrastinating doing that, but also I know I'm gonna fly through this. I'm listening to the audiobook and really enjoying it currently, so that's a really good vibe. I guess I'm on Everend, so it will tell me a percentage. I'm 34% in, so I'm flying through this. This might make me want to try Once Upon a Broken Heart. I've tried Caraval, but I think the writing in this is very polished. So like, do I need to try that series? Maybe I do. I do like the beginning of the story a little bit more than the middle. 80% through currently, and I do feel like it got a little meandering at times. And I probably could have had it done a little bit sooner or slowed down and had me spend more time with characters and things like that. However, this book has done such a good job of red herrings and like, who should I trust? I currently honestly have no no idea. I'm normally someone who's really good at these things too. I'm normally someone who picks up on these things. And I'm not gonna lie, if I was this woman, I think I would have locked myself in a room and not talked to anyone because I don't know who she should be trusting. There's a lot of things happening and I like trust people and then I don't trust them and I'm like, who am I supposed to be sus of? Who am I supposed to trust? I don't know who's telling the truth or who's lying or if everyone's lying or if everyone's telling the truth, and it's messing with my brain. So it's probably messing with her brain as well. Probably my favorite part of it, I still think it reads like Warehouse 13 a little bit less because I think we ended up doing a lot more magical aspects of it, but there's a lot of things I really liked that I thought were really interesting and very unique. The concept of the bank I thought was really cool. It also was giving Umbrella Academy a little bit, which I really enjoyed. So there are things that I really liked about this, and I was like, maybe I need to pick up more stories that are magical set in our real world, because I also love the Bone season and it's kind of like that. It's something that I've tended to avoid a lot, but it might be something that I actually enjoy. Like not paranormal, but like fantasy in our world, like contemporary fantasy almost, you know? Not that the Bone season is contemporary fantasy, but I would be really interested in picking up more. It makes me more excited to pick up, I don't even know where things are on my shelf, so I'm looking for it to grab, but oh, it's up there. A Darker Shade of Magic, it makes me a little bit more interested in too, because I know it's like the Londons and stuff. So there's definitely some things that I'm interested in. I'm definitely learning some stuff about myself as I read this, and I love just like a mystery like this quite a bit, and just like trying to puzzle it all together is a lot of fun in my opinion. But I definitely think it's taken a little bit longer than it needed to. I think it could have been a little bit shorter, or as I said, just taken a little bit more time with characters and events. Like I would have liked to care a little bit more about the characters. It seems to be like rushing scene by scene, but there's like a lot of similar scenes, so then it's also hard. But I'm excited for the ending. Predicting a 4-star currently, and I'm not that far off from the end, so hopefully that is the final rating. I might have been in the same spot in the last clip. Oops, it's been a couple days. I finished our book. I'm giving this 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was fun. I don't think it's going to be a book I'm thinking about long term. I know that technically it's a series, but I don't even know if I'll pick up book 2. I just like really did enjoy this for what it was, for like the thriller aspect and the mystery aspect of this fantastical world and story. But there's not like lingering questions for me. There's not like something new to like grasp onto. It felt like everything resolved pretty nicely in this story, in my opinion. I think that they might end up being like Monster of the Week with like a new puzzle, a new object to find, new motivations in book 2, and that's not my typical type of series that I love to read. So yeah, I don't think that I will like be thinking about this forever, but I think I would recommend it to people for like a fun time, like fast-paced read. There was a lot I loved about it, a lot of like who to trust, who not to trust, and like things like that I really did enjoy. So I'm really glad I picked this up, because I would have never picked this up without this video. So that makes me feel really good. Very happy about that one. But I have moved on to my next book actually. I asked my patrons to pick a book for me again. I did emoji polls this time, and Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil won. Now I'm asking myself, why did I put this on the poll? Like I had control of what I put on there, so why did I do that? But the thing is, I'm intrigued. I have loved V.E. Schwab in the past. The Villains duology, soon to be trilogy thingy, is like one of my favorites. I gave them 5 stars. I bought those special editions from Illumicrate when they did them, and I love that series so much. But since then, I haven't really enjoyed most of her stuff. I tend to DNF them. They're a little bit more lyrical heavy. So like I'm always interested in trying them, and this one feels like one that I could potentially like. So I put it on the list. I am in it. I've been reading. I'm not super far in. It's really hard to tell you where I'm at in the story because I only have the audiobook and it's told in POVs, and then the POVs have chapter numbers, but they're not like continuous. Like it's not like I'm on chapter 27. I'm on like chapter 5 of this person's POV and chapter 2 of this person's POV. So it's gonna be hard to tell you where I am, but I'm not super far in. I haven't even really got to the premise of this story. I know the story is like gay vampires, and that's pretty much all I know about it, and historical. And I thought I was going to hate the historical part. That's something I typically say I don't like, but I think that's wrong. I think I don't like historical fiction, but I do think I like historical in like fantasy and romance sometimes, because I have enjoyed it and it's like vibe a little bit, because I am very fascinated by Marie's POV, and she is historical. She is set in a time when women are an object, and she is married off to this count, and she's expecting this grand life, but then she realizes what's actually happening, and that she had a lot more freedom in her small little village, that her brothers, although they felt controlling, they are controlling, but they weren't nearly as controlling as this man in your grand palace and things like that. And I love seeing her rage build up at all these small microaggressions that are happening to her. And some of them aren't even small, some of them aren't even microaggressions, some of them are just terrible. That I can't believe like that's something that people thought was acceptable to do at some point. And I'm really enjoying her POV. However, the modern day POV, I literally cannot stand. And I want to DNF every single time I'm in her head. And I have not been in her head very much. But there's something about this POV that really irks me and I find so damn boring. Her name's Alice. I don't like her. And I'm in an Alice POV right now. And that sucks because I tend to turn it off during an Alice POV and then I don't want to pick it back up because I'm like, oh, I'm in an Alice POV. Versus like, I tend to want to pick them back up when I'm back in the Marie POV. So I'm struggling with this one. I'm not sure I'll make it through. I'm not sure I'm expecting it to be a 5-star, but I'm going to give it a good shot because I am intrigued by the one POV quite a bit. And I want to get to the vampire aspect. I want to see all of that. I love me some vamps. So that's the vibe currently. After this, I don't know what I'm reading. Red City's calling to me a lot. Like I want to read Red City really bad, but I'm really worried it'll be a 5-star. So like, I don't want to end this video too early. I want to try some more things. Like I have found books that I've enjoyed already because of this. So gotta keep kind of going outside my comfort zone a little bit. I left my tripod at the other house and this one wants onto the cat scratcher so badly, but I'm using the cat scratcher as my tripod. Having 2 houses is too much. If I let you go, will you not jump up there and swat the camera? We are really close to being able to move in. We're actually just waiting for the internet at this point, which is taking way longer than it should. So we're not moving in for like 2 more weeks, but like we're pretty much ready to move in. That was Theo. This is gonna be interesting. I have so much to update you on. But look how pretty he is. Like his face is so pretty. He does not like a struggle snuggle. So we're close to moving in. Like we're prepared. The downstairs isn't ready, just the upstairs. Can you see Miley? She's like, what the fuck is this thing on my cat scratcher? And she's just sniffing it. So hopefully soon we'll get clips of us like living there together, which will be really exciting. I need to find a new spot for this camera because Miley is now pawing at the microphone. Okay, give me a second and I'll come back and I'll update you on books. Now the problem is going to be that I moved a table, and since I moved something, they're going to be like, ooh, and they're still going to come swat at my camera. I've made progress in 2 books. I am 22% into Barrier Bones in the Midnight Soil. I don't know what to do about this book because I am just sitting here wanting vampires, and I'm like, I want to get to the point where I get to like the vampire point, but like I'm 22% in and we haven't gotten there yet. I can see the inspiration behind this. I've read Carmilla. I didn't enjoy Carmilla. It was really boring and slow and character driven. I see that in this story, and so I can appreciate that. However, I have a feeling my thoughts on Carmilla are also going to be my thoughts on this one. I want more vampires. I want more blood sucking. I want the horror to be more on page than it is. I know this isn't a horror book, it's a fantasy book, but like I just want to see those elements more up front than I'm getting in this. And I think if this is taking so much inspiration from Carmilla, that's not what that story is. The fear, the vampirism, the horror is all in like the unknown, and you never really confirmed a lot of those things. I really do like Maria's POV. I really do enjoy being in that character, but literally anytime we swap to Alice, I despise my life. So I'm undecided whether I'm going to continue reading this one or not. I will still put it in this vlog, even if my other book ends up a 5-star. Because yesterday I decided to start another book. So here are some clips for you. I actually still am working on Barrier Bones, but I decided to start a physical book because I had a lot of time to physically read today. And I can promise you that Barrier Bones will not be a 5-star. I'm still debating a DNF. So I'm starting, what's it called? I can't remember the name. I'm gonna put the book on here. It's a thriller and I'm really excited. I'm actually 10% in already, and the writing for me is going so well. I'm very impressed. The premise is so freaking cool, and so I'm really just excited to dive deep into this and hopefully enjoy it. I really can love me a thriller sometimes when they're done well, so I'm really hoping that with this like really unique concept, this one will knock it out of the park for me. We're following our main character who wakes up one day to a note from her husband, and she doesn't know what to make out of it, but she finds it odd that he's like not replying to her texts and stuff. Turns out her husband is in a hostage situation, but he's not a hostage. He is the one doing the whole situation. And then it goes on from there. I love a book like this. I have a cheese stick where I'm trying to figure out exactly what is going on. I love that it's a mystery too, so that we don't get his POV. Like the guy who is doing the deed, we don't get to see from, but we do get to see his wife as she's trying to be like, how the heck did my husband do this? And then also we get to talk to the person who's like the negotiator. We get to see his POV, and I think that's really cool as he like talks through everything he's doing and what the interactions with the character who's doing these things, like with the husband, he like talks through like what all of those interactions mean and stuff, and I really do enjoy that. So I'm really intrigued, actually. I'm a little nervous. We could have a 5-star. Now let me eat my cheese stick and read in peace. I am 53% into Famous Last Words, and considering I started this yesterday says a lot about this story. I really have been enjoying this. I've enjoyed the start quite a bit. There is like some time jumps in this which aren't typically my favorite. I can enjoy them, but I cannot enjoy them. And when we did do our first time jump, I was very nervous because I think especially in thriller books, I have a hard time when a premise is given to me and then that premise is resolved in the first like 20% of the story, and that is what kind of happens in the story. However, there are unanswered threads that continue on into like part 2 and part 3 that I'm very much engaged in and enjoying. I'm feeling very good vibes about this. I'm actually predicting a 4-star, but there's a possibility for this to be a 5-star and end this vlog, which is kind of terrifying because that was not the plan. I still really want to read Red City. Like that is pretty much why I created this vlog, was so that I could read that book. But in this, I feel like the character work is really done, the intrigue is really done, the pacing is done actually really well. I'm constantly wanting to read and intrigued. My family and me were watching Love is Blind last night, and I literally had the ebook open and I was just like sneaking in sentences as we watched. Anytime there was like a boring part, I was like, let me get a page done. So like that is a sign of a really good book in my opinion, and it's just like kept me very much wanting to know, and I'm excited to sit down and read again today, which is always a good sign. I feel like it's a very creative concept too. I mean, is this mystery element of what's going on the most unique? No, but the actual premise of the story, like the beginning concept, that inciting incident feels so unique to me in this genre. Maybe there are books out there, but like for me personally, it's nothing like I've read before. And I think that that is really hard to do in a genre like thriller, where it relies on twists and plot twists and these concepts, but we've seen them all time and time again. And I think doing something unique, honestly, in any genre, in anything in today's society, it's all copy and pasted. There's no original work anymore. There's just like inspiration that comes from other things. Like it's so hard because everything's been done so many times to make something feel unique and new. So very impressed with this author for doing that, because as a creator myself, I know how hard that is to try to take something and make it feel new, even though like it's not, because the ideas have existed for years and years, but trying to just like put your own personal brand, personal taste, personal spin into something to make it unique to you and still feel new, it's a hard thing to achieve. So very impressed with this. Very much excited for this completely, and hoping for a 5-star, even though I don't want the video to end. I'm kind of hoping for a 5-star. I think that would be really cool to have another thriller be a 5-star. I don't read that many, so when I do and they're absolutely incredible, it makes me want to read more, and that is so exciting. I literally texted myself thoughts yesterday. I was like, something happened and I was like, I have no one to text. I don't know who's read this. My friends have not read this. So I just texted myself, because I can text myself from my laptop to my phone, and I said, oh my god, and like freaked out a little. It's funny. Life stuff, because we kind of talked about moving. I also perfected a coffee this morning. I made myself a cookie butter latte. Literally the most delicious thing in the world. I'm gonna have one later, maybe again, because it was so good. At least I'll have one tomorrow, but I'm literally like, can I make myself a decaf version later today? Because I just put like the cookie butter spread and then poured my espresso over it, and I made sure to like stir that really well, because you want to make sure like the cookie butter like blends well. You don't want it to be chunky. And then your milk, and then I did brown sugar cold foam on top, and like cookie butter spread around the glass for aesthetics, and oh my god, it was so good. He's very confused why there's a table in the middle of the room.
Aren't you, you pretty boy? Theo! Why you gotta ignore us so much? This cat does not like to listen. She knows her name and will look at you when you say it. He knows his name. He just is like, nah, rather not.
I'm getting close to the end. There's so much happening. I'm feeling validation in my theories. I'm getting some things wrong. I definitely have complaints, and I'm going to get to that in my final review. But I had a really good time, and I need to keep reading because I have 30 minutes left, and I think things are about to really go down. I finished Famous Last Words last night and I gave it 4 stars. It was close. It was really, really close to a 5-star, I can't lie. I think the third quarter just really dragged on for me too far. I feel like the last quarter happened really quickly, but the third quarter was so slow that I think that pacing kind of screwed with it for me. Like, too much happened at that last quarter and not enough in that third quarter. It needed to be a little bit more balanced, but I really, really, really did enjoy this. And I think I will read more from this author. Wrong Place, Wrong Time is the other one that I think I've heard a lot of people talk about. That one I think is next up on my docket if people think I'm going to enjoy it. What are the similarities if you've read this one and you read that one? What are the vibes there, you know? Like, will I enjoy it? And I'm just like really happy. I would have probably never picked that up without this video. I think that's been a lot of fun. I think the writing in this one was just like really strong. Like, I felt very connected, and I said that uniqueness of the story really pulled me in. It's hard to talk about a thriller. I will say this feels like a true mystery thriller blend. I was really intrigued about like what exactly was going on, but it wasn't like action-packed, like scaring me. The mystery aspect I think was definitely the stronger portion of this, but it did have like a thriller feel to it, especially in that first part. Part 1 definitely is like action-packed, and then it definitely slows down for the rest of the book, which I was definitely really scared of, but I do think that she did enough intrigue with the mystery to make it not drag out, even though it did drag out a little bit for me, but it could have been a lot worse. So yeah, very, very excited that I read this one. Let's talk about Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil before I talk about like my next physical read, because I actually was planning to come here and tell you I was DNFing it, but literally I just filmed a video and I was like putting all my books back in their places, and we got to like the vampire portion, and now I'm intrigued. I do feel like this feels more classic vampire story, and I do think I'm going to DNF it at some point. I'm just like not ready for it yet. This is such a weird experience to have where like I do not see myself finishing this book, but I'm not ready to not read it yet. I think there's aspects that I really like, but for me, I personally prefer, I'm not gonna call it a plot, but a thread to follow, a goal for the story, and this doesn't really have that. It's more like not slice of life but slice of lifey, but I think that's why school settings, trials, murder mysteries in general work more for me, is because like they're set up at the beginning of the book and then I have a goal for what the whole story is going to be, trying to pass that school tests or whatever it is, trying to finish those trials, to survive through those trials, trying to figure out what happened, why that person died, who killed them, or like what the mystery is, and like finding little clues. And it gives me a really decent thread for the whole story, and I know exactly where the story is going, where we're going to end up, and I think that works really well for my brain. And then there's like action-packed moments as we go, like reveals and almost deaths and maybe we failed a test, you know, things like that. And so I think with this book just kind of being her life story and journey, I'm missing that thread to really entice me, and so I find myself very bored in some parts, but then I am intrigued in other parts. Like what we're just at is like the vampires going on like a killing spree and being like rippers and things like that, which is something I always love in vampire stories. It feels very true to more classic vampire literature. I definitely prefer more modern style writing in general. I found that I'm not as big into these more like long life character driven stories. I'm definitely more plot heavy. My attention span is not as good, so I want things to like quickly happen. I'm not just here to watch a character's like deepest fears and dreams and goals and failures unravel, and I think a lot of classic literature leans towards that a little bit more, and there's like fear in oneself almost within the writing instead of like outside fear, I guess. So I'm not sure when I'll give up on this book. I feel like I will give up on it at some point. I'll give up on it in an Alice POV 100%, but I'm just like, I was really, really close to coming on here, and then I just listened to one more chapter, and then I was like, ooh, now I need to know what's about to go down. So we'll see. But I am gonna pick up another physical book, and I'm gonna go outside of my comfort zone. Well, maybe, I don't know. I think because this vlog is going to be so like many books, I'm not worried about DNFing books, which like I shouldn't be worried about it in general, but like it doesn't feel like my video is going to be shortened or anything by me not completing a book and having not a lot to say about a book. The concept of the video is me reading so many books to reach a 5-star, and I've decided to try one that was not on my radar before, but my Patreons kind of told me about it last night and said maybe you should try it, and it's one of the
sci-fi nominees, and it's called The Compound. And I think that these are contestants in reality TV, and I am a lover of reality TV, so that's kind of why they recommended it to me. And I can like sci-fi. I think I like sci-fi that's not space, really. And so I just need to try more sci-fi that isn't space. I was like really into sci-fi for a while, especially because I love dystopian and stuff. And then I read too many like space operas, and I just don't think that's for me. And I found them so boring that I decided I didn't like sci-fi anymore. But I don't think that's true. I just prefer more like a sci-fi thriller or like a sci-fi dystopian or a sci fantasy. Like, I don't really know, but I should probably explore the sci-fi genre a little bit more. And I'm just gonna take this time to pick up the sci-fi and see. The other one that I'm interested in from last night talking to my patrons is The Merge. So I could also pick that one up after this if I enjoy this one and just kind of vibe. I think that's what's happening here. I'm just going to vibe. I'm just going to mood read. I've really strayed from that original TBR that I made. Who makes TBRs, right? Why did I put that in this video? Why did I do that? Knowing me, the mood reader, hee hee. But I'm having a really fun time with this video because it's letting me try things outside of what I normally would pick up, I think. Every single book that I've given 4 stars was like a wild card. Like, I did not expect to give it 4 stars. And so I just think that's like a lot of fun, and it's having me want to experiment a little bit more. So thank you for giving me like the time and space to do something like this where I can experiment. And like, obviously we know I'm holding back on like that 5 star. The thing is, any of these could be a 5 star, but like my 5 star prediction, I'm definitely holding back on for when I need it and when I feel like I'm done and want to move on to the next vlog or concept or something like that. So like, thank you for like not judging me for that. Thank you for like being accepting. I know a lot of people hate that in these videos and stuff, but like my version of the story was to give myself grace and room to just try a bunch of nominees and like keep myself moving, because there is this thrill of like, what if this ends the video for me? Because I don't know for sure. Like, I'm not confident that this is going to be a 5 star, but like there are always chances that it could be. And so like, it kind of gives me a thrill a little bit. So yeah. That's my plan. Thank you. Gonna go home and edit now though.
I'm sorry that this is really bad lighting. Note to myself that I should probably remember to bring my tripod home from the other place, but also if I'm planning to be here and reading, I probably should also bring my ring light home, because I have a very, very dark basement at this house. So the lighting is not good without my ring light, or I have to like really take my ISO up high, which is what it's doing right now. So hopefully it's not grainy or anything, which you probably won't even notice, but I will, and it'll bother me. So I have to point it out, and that's how I exist when things are going to bother me. I have a need to point it out and just get it out there, and then I'll feel better about it. I started The Compound. I'm only like 3 chapters in. This book automatically made me feel very unsettled, which I thought was really interesting. It gave me the creepy crawly feelings of like, what is going on? Because we kind of just like directly go into this. We start the reality show and they know more than we do. We don't even know the main character's name for the first chapter, which I think is really, really fascinating. And so as it's gone on, I've definitely just been like, what is going on? And I think that also comes from me having no previous knowledge of this book. Literally, someone said, I think you might like this, and I trust them, and I was like, sure, let's experiment. Let's see if I will like this. So I've never read the synopsis, haven't watched a vlog where someone's liked it. I literally knew literally nothing about this book, and I think that that could do this a disservice, actually. So I'm debating whether I should go read a synopsis, because the more I'm reading, the more I want it to be like really more like creepy. Like, I keep waiting for more creepy things to happen, for more like dystopian style, like science, conspiracy theories, governments, and like experiments and things like that to kind of come up. And I have a feeling that this book could end up just being literally a critique and a social commentary on reality TV, and we might just watch reality TV happen, which is very valid, and I understand like the social commentary on reality TV is really crazy. It happens in the show too, but I do think shows are made more for like entertainment, so you have to dig a little bit deeper to see some of that commentary and stuff that we can see through it, or about ourselves and humankind. And this is very Love Island coded currently, like very, very Love Island coded. Like the whole way this is set up, some of the games they're playing gives me Love Island. The only difference is like the activities they do to like earn things isn't, and that feels more Survivor or Big Brother or like competition. But I'm not 100% sure if this is just a commentary and we're just in reality TV and watching that happen, if that will work for me, because like I'd rather watch it and come to those terms on myself. Like, I understand the weaknesses, what reality TV says to us like about us, like how we don't care about how people feel because they're entertainment, things like that. I think it's crazy to watch and unfold. And I think as a reality TV lover, those are all things I've noticed. I understand the flaws in reality TV, but there's also so many positives. I've seen women speak out about things that others are scared to speak out about. I've seen women come together around things that are more wrong to talk about when it's not wrong at all. Like, I mean, things like anxiety and depression, some of the first conversations I saw about them were on reality TV with these real women talking about these feelings and then opening up a door for conversations like that. There's space for real conversations in reality TV, even though it is not scripted, but pushed. Things are definitely pushed. Producers have their hands in things. They're trying to get storylines. Things are not in order of events. Things are twisted and turned. So like there is a fakeness to reality TV, but there is also a rawness and a realness and this new space in there too that I really do enjoy. So like I love reality TV. I think I just kind of went on a tangent and I think I would rather watch it than just read it because I already understand those things. So I need this to be more than just commentary on that. And I don't know whether it will or not be. Like I literally have no idea going into this. But so far it does have me feeling unsettled about a lot of things. And there's like a lot of questions up in the air. Okay, I've made it 40% into The Compound and I'm really not sure how to feel about this book. I think I want it to be something that it's not, which is not fair to this book. It reminds me of an episode of Black Mirror. It just feels like that kind of commentary that Black Mirror has. And I think how I feel watching that show is just like very similar to how I feel reading this book. I'm equally bored and absolutely sucked in at once. I wish this book had more than just like the social commentary, and I find myself like really curious to know more like about the outside and the outside world and what's put them in here, because like I don't think I would be achieving the tasks they're trying to achieve for the rewards in like today's society. So I feel like something would have to go on. They've talked about a war, things like that. This book essentially just follows a bunch of people who go into like reality TV, and it's like their show, as it's very like Love Island coded. They have to sleep with someone every single night, and if you're sleeping alone you are eliminated. But then they also like have to build the compound up, and they have tasks that they have to do in order to get things like furniture with food, things like this. And it's definitely like extreme. Like they will starve if they don't do tasks to get food. So I'm fascinated. I'm definitely fascinated, but I'm like kind of waiting for something more than just watching how they react. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like reality TV meets Lord of the Flies. Like what will humanity go to? Like what will we do for things and like in a situation like this, if that makes sense. And I'm not the biggest fan of Lord of the Flies either. By not the biggest fan, I mean I hate that book. I thought it was really boring. I like conversations like this, but I think I need them to be more than just like watching it go down. I need more of a thread of a plot or something. I think because the reality TV and like the questions I have about the outside world are keeping me intrigued and engaged, but I'm not like obsessed, if that makes sense. And I think I wanted this to be a little bit more thrillery than what it is, which is more literary, which is not fair to the book because it never claimed to be a sci-fi thriller. But I want that in pretty much every sci-fi book I pick up.
We literally have so much to talk about. I have so many updates to give you. The Compound. This is, I think, what I was reading in the last clip, at least I hope. But The Compound I ended up finishing. There are plenty of points in The Compound where I thought I could DNF this, but also I'm really intrigued, so I don't want to DNF it. So it was like honestly a really hard book to give a rating because like when I finished it, I'm weak. That's what I am. I found myself thinking about the story quite a bit and realizing that I think it was going to stick with me. So I ended up giving it 3 stars and I'm really happy I finished it. However, if I could rewind time, if I could go back to the past, I think I would not tell myself to read it. Like it's not something I feel like I needed to read. I was obligated to read. I felt very extreme emotions about because I'm very conflicted on my thoughts on it because I love the conversation it had. I loved a lot of things in it. The direct takes from reality TV, absolutely insane, because as you're reading it, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe like these people are doing this thing. Like this makes no sense. Like there was a couple times where in my brain I was like, this is unbelievable. They would never do it. But as someone who has watched reality TV my entire life and is probably a little bit of a junkie about it, I could pinpoint exact shows that this was taken from, exact competitions that I've seen in reality TV that were like very similar to that or like exactly like that. There's one where like they have to go underwater for 60 seconds and it feels
cruel, and I've literally seen that and had people panic underwater and stuff. Not to the same extreme, like not to like the state of like what happens in the story, but like, I don't know, like their little tasks, the things they had to do, like I was like, yeah, like this is real reality TV, like this is what people do for fame and money. And I think that really for me added to the layers in this conversation, in this commentary on society, because it's true. Like, what will people do for money, consumerism, for capitalism, for fame? Like a lot. People will do a lot of freaking things, and it's insane, but like also hard to think like what would you do? It's also hard to think in like a scenario like what are you willing to do, because also they put you in these environments that are meant to lead you to be able to do these things and want to do these things. Like it's not a stable environment. You're not getting enough food, enough water, enough relaxation time. Like they really do isolate you so that you feel like these rewards, like these competitions are like things that you actually want to do. It's kind of crazy. The commentary on reality TV is literally insane in this, but really it's a discussion, a message on capitalism and consumerism that happens in this. I think that I need to kind of change this a little bit. Hold on. I'm trying to cross my legs up here. And for me, the message was incredible. The discussion in the story was 5-star worthy, except for the fact that the characters lacked any depth to them. And I understood like why. I understood the creative process, the creative like decision that the author took to make these, I feel at least personally, self-insertable in the way that you are going to insert people you have passed, people you have crossed in your life. You know, the jock who's not that smart, but he's really hot and that's all he's got going for him, and he's gonna hit the gym every day. Like there's someone in your life that resembles that person, at least in some way. It's not necessarily someone you're close with. I'm not saying like a close friend, but we know someone that fits a lot of those stereotypes at some point. And I feel like every character was that. It was more stereotypical. It also kind of was the type of personality that goes on reality TV. Like I can pinpoint those stereotypes in every single season of reality TV, and I could put those people inserted into this. And so I got why, because it was meant to be like, this could be anybody. These characters could be anyone you know who fits these personalities, which is deep discussion on consumerism and how we're all kind of a part of the problem and things like that. However, personally, a book like this hits me harder, puts me more in the feels when I care for characters, when I care who goes home, what happens to people, things like that. I think it's, for me, more important to have characters that feel real to me so that I can like deeply be concerned about what's going on in the story instead of just being like, yeah, this is a critique. And so I just feel like the characters really missed their mark for me because I wasn't really given a reason to care about most of them. I didn't know anything about them. There's like a romance, not really, but kind of, in this that like you are supposed to root for because there's something that happens at the end. But like I really struggled because I was like, I don't even know you guys. I've never seen moments of you together. And I think that is part of the point of this story. So it's like hard to critique it on that. However, reading is subjective, and because I didn't enjoy it because of those things, I am allowed to put that into a review. I'm not someone who's critically analyzing a story. Like that's not me. I rate based on my experiences, how much I enjoyed something, like my own feelings and vibes for a book. I'm not like, you get a 98% because blah, 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 blah. Like I'm not following a rubric. It's just like the vibes are vibing, the reads are reading, things like that. So like I really did enjoy a lot about this, but it was also so freaking slow. If you are a fan of Black Mirror, if you love that show, you need to pick this one up. I think that this reads like an episode of Black Mirror, and I have very similar feelings when I watch that show. It's like, okay, these are slow but interesting and engaging, but so slow and boring that I could turn them off at any point. And if I turn them off, I probably will never get back to that episode, but if I don't turn it off, I'll be happy that I watched it. 3 stars for this one. This is the problem with having so much natural light in your house, is like the sun is shining today where I want to record. Next up, Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil. I've officially DNF'd it. I got 33% in. And like, I don't know why I'm pushing through this. I know why, because it's such a beloved book. It's such a beloved author. I wanted to really enjoy this. It felt like a classic, but like I have nothing new to add to this. I don't really enjoy the story. I was putting it down and never wanting to pick it up, and so we're just gonna bless and release and move on to bigger and better things. So we're picking up our next book, which I'm really deviating from the TBR I started at the beginning, and
I'm picking up The Merge, which is another sci-fi. I feel like The Compound did not scratch an itch I had when I picked that book up, and now I'm hoping The Merge scratches that itch. It's just like fun to experiment. It is fun to just be able to read anything from any genre, and I hope that you guys enjoy this vlog for that reason. But The Merge, I think, is going to be more thrillery. I hope, fingers crossed, and that's kind of what I wanted out of The Compound. I love a sci-fi thriller. That's my favorite type of thriller or sci-fi book. And so in The Merge, it's a little bit dystopian. Earth has been like pushed to its breaking point in terms of resources, and now there's something called The Merge, where two people can like merge their brains into one person essentially. And of course, the first people who have to do this are like in taxes and stuff. If you haven't paid your taxes, if they don't think that they're going to be paid off at any point, they might force you to merge with someone else who hasn't paid their taxes in order to, like, you know, have less people. It's really bad. It's really sad. But we're following a group of people, two characters really, but there is like, they're in like this group that's going through the merge together, and there's like, they're being taught like what's gonna happen and how to work through some of these things, because you're about to have two minds in yours. And all of these people in our group have like a reason why they're doing this merge, and our main characters are a mother and daughter, and the mother has Alzheimer's, and so the daughter is doing it to stop the Alzheimer's. This is very like unsure. It's just like a thing that they're testing out to see if like this would be what happens. So she wants her mother to merge with her so that she doesn't lose her mother, but her mother is like unsure about it. Stories about Alzheimer's always hit me harder, and I typically do enjoy them for probably a reason that a lot of people wouldn't enjoy them. Alzheimer's runs in my family. My nana had it, and then my grandmother's siblings have all had it, and so like going down the line, I'll probably have it one day, my mother will have it. But I think it makes me fascinated by stories that discuss it. It's a disease we don't know a lot about, really. It's a disease that I think is horrible, but it's also personally a disease I would take over other things, which is probably crazy. I think because I've come to terms with it, I have seen people have things like MS or Parkinson's, and I feel like for me personally, this could be different to everyone, but for me personally, I would rather lose my mind than have my mind still work and lose my body. I think Alzheimer's will be hard, but I think it's harder on the people that you leave behind almost but I feel like Parkinson's is just hard on everybody. That's my personal thoughts currently, and those could change, but I find it really fascinating to read about. I find it very intriguing. I find like the hope that people can get in stories like this, or like just discussion on what happens in this, very, very fascinating. And I feel like I feel more personally connected to the story because it is something that we've like talked about and like worried about. Like we try to eat things because there's no cure, there's no like solution, there's really not a lot out there, but there's things like studies that show that eating some things might be able to delay it and things like that. So we do sometimes, like in our family, do things like that just because, like, what does it hurt? Well, I'm really going on a tangent here, very personal tangent, but I just think I feel so like more personally connected to these stories, and it's like a fear, and I find it like terrifying, but like I can't look away because I'm also someone who likes to know I have control issues. I don't know why I feel like I'm gonna cry, holy crap. I have control issues. I'm a control freak for sure, and so I think like unknown scares me more than knowing, but I'm also not like a researcher, and so I think sometimes reading things like this for me gives me like a sense of control about the situation because I'm learning other people's experiences, because most people who write it have had some sort of experience with it or like have researched into it and things like that. So it gives me a sense of control too, I think. And I just like really actively enjoy these stories for some unknown reason, because most people want nothing to do with things like this that are like literal things that are going to happen to them in fear and they turn the other direction. But like for me, I don't know, it's like a sense of want to read them. And so I'm very intrigued about this story because of that. And I have not read a lot of Alzheimer's stories, but the ones I have read, I think have all been 4 or 5 stars. But there's like a lot of talks in the story about the merge and like issues with the merge, if it's going to be mandatory for all citizens one day, which would be awful. And I think there's going to be a lot of like commentary on stuff like that. The reason I picked this up was actually Deb, who I'll leave link down below, had just read it and kind of compared it to John Mars and his like political commentary and social commentary in his stories. And I do love those. So I think sci-fi thriller wise, like Blake Crouch, John Mars have been people who stand out to me for things like that. And so I'm hoping that this one is just as good and fits into like the vibe I want out of those. And I am hopeful that I will love this, but also I still want to read Red City, so I'm hoping for a 4 star. Why am I like this? At least I'm honest, okay? What if I get to Red City and it's like a 2-star and I've just been like hyping it up as a 5-star? Then I have strength of the few, but like, you know, okay. I gotta figure out if I'm cleaning, if I'm painting, what I'm doing at the house today, but thanks for listening to my TED Talk.
Not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting this to be so hard to read. I am enjoying it. As much as you can enjoy a story like this is the first time I've had to read from the perspective of a woman going through Alzheimer's. And that POV is really hard for me. Just the way we're talking about how she's losing her memory, like the little things, the feelings she's going through as she loses her memories. It hurts. Like it's a hard read, but also I'm really enjoying this. I'm really engaged into the conversation that we're having. And I think that is really good. I'm really excited to see small snippets of the merge, but also we're following characters who used to be activists against it and things like that. And so hearing about how this became such a big thing, hearing about people defending our rights and our freedoms but failing at that is also a very hard story currently. I'm sorry if you can hear the washer and the dryer. I'm washing rags. You go through a lot of rags when you're cleaning and painting and renovating. But yeah, I feel like it's really hard in general because also we are struggling in today's society. Our rights and freedoms are being taken away and we're fighting for them, and we're losing that battle over and over again. But the small wins do make you feel accomplished in some ways. So I am enjoying this, but it's harder than I thought, and I've definitely teared up a few times, which is not what I expected. I'm normally not sad at all when I read things like this. I'm normally just very, I'm just reading a story typically when I read things like this. I'm very disengaged to the fact that Alzheimer's is something in my family normally. But I think just hearing her perspective and her setting up sticky notes and then the sticky notes still not working well enough and how her brain is processing things was a lot to read, but really, really, really well done in my opinion.
This book is literally giving me chills. What do you mean? Oh my god, we just met our first merged person. We've only heard of the process at this point. We've never met someone who went through it. And so we met them, and it was the most bone-chilling, creepy thing that I feel like I've ever witnessed. And I'm how are people looking at that and thinking that's a good thing? And I get it, especially in the case of these people, they're saving someone. So it's a way to hold on to them. So I do get it. And it's what would you do for someone you loved? Would you give up some of yourself for someone you loved? But that wasn't someone. That's supposed to be 2 people. It's not even 2 people. That's a robot. What is going on? This is crazy. And the thing is, I could see the world getting to this, and that's literally insane. This book, it's hard. I have teared up a lot, not gonna lie, but it's incredible because books like this are so deeply bone-chilling to me because they're realistic. If this technology was discovered, if we did have it, these things could happen. And that's the most terrifying thought to ever exist, especially with propaganda. We're watching propaganda work, and it works every day in our society. Everyone sees propaganda daily and it gets us. There's not a single person that it never gets. That's pretty much what marketing is. Oh god, the deep thoughts I'm having right now. I don't know. This is something. It's incredible though. It's a great book. I love when books make me feel like this completely. As I've moved on to part 2 in the story, I do think it's been really interesting to think about when this could work. Here is the thing about a story like this is you understand how people buy into this situation. There are scenarios that I think would work. There are scenarios where I think I would sign up for something like this. And I think that is how these things escalate to a point of what the fuck are we doing? But if I had said yes to merging with someone, what are the reasons that would make me do it? Because I think forcing someone into it is disgusting, and I think that's the whole concept of this story. But when we're in this situation with these people, they're all choosing to do this for a specific reason. And I think the one that touches me the most is thinking about if my sister were dying, if she was terminally ill, or if my boyfriend was, but mostly my sister. I love you, Nick, but I love my sister more. I think it'd be harder to live inside with a man inside of me. That would just be weird. I could accept giving up part of myself so my sister could have some semblance of a life with me still, instead of just dying. Like if she was terminally ill, I think this is something that I would probably sign up for or be willing to. Versus like, I think because we're similar in age and I feel like her life is there and I like would do anything for her. And not that I wouldn't do anything for like my parents or my grandparents or my aunts or my uncles, but like there is a point of people who raised you wanting you to have a life as well, and I can understand why that wouldn't merge as well because they lived a life, you know? And not that my sister hasn't, but like we're so similar in age and just like with what we had going on, like I could see myself giving up part of myself to save her. And I think that that's like interesting. This is what I love about stories like this, that they make me think, like they make me think about myself, think about versions of myself out there, who I would sacrifice for, who I wouldn't, and why something like this would expand to the point of taking over society in a point that is not healthy. And I really think science in general is just scary because of what it could lead to. Having the ability to have someone who's terminally ill live longer in an essence does feel nice, but also like, are they actually living? Then there's like conversations on that and stuff. Like because when we've met them, they've kind of been robotic. So like, how do you have two essences, two souls in one body that's not meant to have that? You know, like there's so much nuance to these. There's so much conversation to be had. There's so much like thinking to go in a story like this. And I like literally applaud an author for even like coming up with these thoughts and stuff, because I just think they're really cool. And like, this is their debut and I think it's absolutely incredible. I'm about 60% in and I'm predicting 5 stars, which, yeah, we'll see how this goes because there is like a pretty big turn. I'm in part 2 now and there's a pretty big like plot point that happens and there's like a pretty big like swerve in like the story itself that I was actually not expecting but also expecting at the same time. But I'm definitely more intrigued. I'm definitely interested. I'm definitely enjoying like the new conversations it's bringing to my brain, and I think that's why I had this thought of like, who would I sign up to do this with, or for, I guess is not with, for, and vice versa. I think my sister would sign up for me too. And not that I don't love Nick and don't want to save him, but like, I would. But your sibling is just something special in my opinion. But yeah, this is such a fascinating story. Like very, very, very fascinating. Having a very incredible time with it. Okay, we finished the book. I'm giving it 5 stars. This is a problem. This is a problem. The vlog was not supposed to end. You're gonna have to humor me. I still want to read Red City. I know I'm supposed to end the vlog. I know that's the whole point of this. I taglined it. This vlog ends when I read a 5-star, and I'm now lying to all of you and I'm going to keep the vlog going. But I created this vlog so that I could read this damn book, and it's gonna end before I can read it? That's not allowed to happen. So we're gonna read this one and we're gonna end the vlog off with this book. Technically, yes, it would end here with the merge, but we're just going to humor ourselves and see if I kept this for a reason, if this is the 5-star I'm predicting it to be, and we will read this bad boy and hopefully give this one 5 stars as well. And then we'll just have 2 back-to-back 5 stars, which who can complain about that, right? And I know like a lot of people are talking about wanting to read this, so I figured getting my thoughts out on this book will also be very good, and I would love to be able to vote in the Goodreads Choice Awards for the final round. I technically have voted in the opening round already for everything, and I couldn't include this one because I hadn't read it, so I voted for the other book I read in this vlog, the alchemy one, A Secret Alchemy. I voted for that one. I really enjoyed that one. So yeah, hopefully we'll get to this. Well, we are getting to this. Not hopefully anymore. That was throughout the entire vlog. I was saying hopefully, and now I'm just cheating and we're gonna read it. But the merge blew my brains out. I just didn't think I was going to think these things as I read it. I wasn't expecting it to be so heavy hitting to affect me the way it did. Emotionally, I just felt so compelled to keep reading. I felt very invested into the characters. I also didn't see some of the twists. I knew there was going to be some suspicious things happening, but like the actual twist itself, I didn't actually see. I thought I had a theory and it was like similar, but not 100%. And I think that's like really enjoyable when a book can do that. And overall, I just like had a really good time with it. I think I'll think about this book for a very long time. It is a sci-fi book, and I do find I'm a little bit more ecstatic and connected most of the time to like fantasy books and romantasy books. So my 5 stars feel more like vibrant. But when it comes to sci-fi, it's all in my mind. Like the way I processed this and the thoughts that came from this, the way I was thinking would I go through with this myself? Would I fall to the propaganda, like those things? And then I was like comparing it to real world situations. It's a lot more like mental for me, and I just like find I process those very different. So I'm not like screaming, shouting like this is like the next book you need to read. But I think if you like social commentary, if you like John Mars, if you like Blake Crouch, like Recursion, Dark Matter, more John Mars than Blake Crouch, but like I feel like Blake Crouch, John Mars, and then this, they feel like a progress of a good line to go to. I feel like this just like really hits like an itch, like it scratches an itch in my brain for a certain type of story, and I really loved it. I thought it was so well written. If there was a second book that came out in this world, I would read it for sure. I'm going to read more from this author. I ended up voting for this one actually for sci-fi and also for debut in the opening round, and I probably will vote for this in the closing rounds as well, as I just like really enjoyed this, unless I end up reading Shroud and loving that more. But yeah, I don't know, I'm very, very happy with this vlog. I feel like it really pushed me outside of my comfort zone in a lot of ways, and I would have probably not picked this book up without this vlog or The Compound, and those have both like really been in my thoughts recently. A Secret Alchemy I really enjoyed, and I know I will actually probably read more from that author in the future. I thought I'd kind of written that author off because I didn't think Caraval was for me, I didn't think Once Upon a Broken Heart was for me, and then I liked that one, so I'll continue reading from there. There's a lot that this video made me think about, which is really, really, really exciting, and if there's any other like Goodreads Choice Awards videos you'd like to see from me, I would love to hear them. Specifically ones that aren't just like a nominee, like reading a whole thing, because I'm just like not willing to read books I don't want to read. But this was a lot of fun for me because it let me pick and choose what I wanted to read, and I had a lot of fun and like a good time with it. It was just like exciting for me as like a content creator, as a reader, to read this versus like reading a set list of 20, then I have to read the ones I don't want to read, and I don't like really like to do that. I'm such a mood reader that that's like really hard for me. So let me know if there's anything else that you would be intrigued in seeing from me, because I think there are some more that I'm interested in reading, and I think I could find more. I know there are 2 on the mystery thriller list that I'm really intrigued still to read, and then Shroud I'm intrigued in. I never got to read The House of Fear, and that one I'm really intrigued in. So there's a bunch that I could still read from the nominees. So if there's a vibe, like a vlog concept that you can think of that's just like escaping my brain that would work really well, I would love to hear that. But anyways, we're going to read Red City. I'll be physically reading this, and I'm buddy reading it with my friend Nat, so I'm excited. Hopefully we have good thoughts on it. My friend Esme just finished reading it and said really good things. I know there's crime syndicates and alchemy, and I'm just like really, really excited to read this. 5-star prediction, will I be correct? Let's see. I need to get ready still for the day, so don't mind what I look like. I'm so exhausted though that I don't know what I'm gonna do today because I'm freaking tired. We spent all day yesterday just like scrubbing our house clean, and it still needs like a second scrub through. Dust just lingers so much. So yeah, today I'm just exhausted. I was gonna go over and take thumbnail pictures, but I don't really want to shower. I don't really want to make myself look like that nice today. So maybe that'll be a tomorrow issue, which is fine because this video is like the thing I have to take thumbnail pictures for, and it's not done yet. So, I mean, it is done. I just am keeping it going. I have started Red City. I started it this morning in bed. I just read the full sample that I could get on my phone. So now I need to figure out where I am in the actual book. Okay, I'm really not far in. There are symbols, so I wonder if these are chapter numbers in a language that I don't understand, which is kind of cool. But it's hard for me to figure out what chapter I'm on. So I'm only 39 pages into the book, so I'm really not far at all. Where did my bookmark go? Let's shove that in there. And so far, I'm worried. I'm worried that this isn't the 5-star prediction that I thought it was going to be. It's a little sappier than I expected, just with like the crime syndicates and being on opposite sides. Did I make that up? I don't know. I just thought we'd be a little bit more grittier and darker and like spunkier characters than what I'm getting at this moment, but I'm assuming there's a time jump because I feel like they're very young currently, which also maybe I'm wrong about that. This is the problem when I don't read synopsis. Sometimes I go in with different expectations than I should. I'm typically a synopsis reader so that my expectations can be set, but I think we're at the point of them being childhood friends, and then I believe we're going to time jump and they won't be childhood friends, and I think the childhood friend part for me is a little bit boring, but also
it's gonna set up a relationship really well. So I'm hopeful that it'll make me feel more connected to them later on. If we do get a time jump, I could be crazy. I literally could be crazy, but they feel really young to me, like they're children currently. And I don't want to read a story about children personally, which is like my own personal preference, and not everyone will agree with that, but that's like my personal thought. I like her personality better, but I'm intrigued by what's happening in his POVs, so I'm excited that when she finally understands what alchemy is, her POVs may be more interesting to me. Essentially, we have this world. It's our world, and alchemy exists in it, but to most people, this is a myth. This is what legends are made of. It's magic. Like, it doesn't actually exist. It's not real. But the few people who know what alchemy has been in our world forever. Alchemy is what has created the miracles that we've known. Alchemy is in everything, and it is like the ability to like change things. But there are hard rules that were set up, which I really did enjoy. I love when a magic system gives me like set rules that can't be bent. And so like we know that a soul can be changed into something else that doesn't have a soul, but nothing that doesn't have a soul can be changed into something with a soul. You can't make a soul. So like wood can become steel, but steel cannot become wood because wood is living. Wood has life to it, but steel doesn't. So once that life is taken, it can't be given back. So you can't like bring back a dead body because it's gone. Like the life in that body is gone. There's no way to bring it back. So I thought like those hard rules were really good for me, and I'm really intrigued by that. Anytime we get a snippet of the alchemy, I'm really intrigued. I'm just not that intrigued by their moments together. They're like too friendly for me. I love an enemies to lovers. I love good banter, and so they're like being too sweet. They're like passing each other like poems, like these long ass letters in their class and things like that, and I don't really care for those. But also I'm hoping that this builds something that will be talked about in later parts that I can really enjoy. So we're following these two characters. I kind of got a little distracted there. In this world, in our world where like alchemy exists, she stumbles across it, she hears a conversation about it, and she can't stop thinking about it. She's trying to figure out what it is, where it comes from. She saw someone do alchemy and she's like, this is real, but like I can't find any information about it, and she's searching for it, and that's like her one sole goal. And he comes from a family that lives in, gosh, I forget where he's from, but his family is struggling, and he somehow makes an impression on someone in the homeland that he's raised in, and this person offers to sponsor him, and essentially he is sent to, I'm assuming it's America, he's sent to America or like this big city or whatever, where then he is put into training for alchemy. Like he is in this like secret society learning alchemy, and the amount of money sent home to his parents, to his family, to his brother and sisters is dependent on how well he does in this school. So he's got a lot of pressure on himself to do well, even though he doesn't speak a lot of this language. He's struggling a little bit. He stays longer than everyone else because he's struggling, but he has to do good. And I do find that drive so inspiring. I've always thought it about my own relationship personally. I was someone in school who was just naturally like smart. Like I will toot my own horn there, but I don't actually think that makes me the better student. I don't think that makes me the smarter person at all. I actually think I suffer for it, where like I would read the textbook maybe the night before or like just listen in class, and it all would just like click, and I could take a test and I'd pass the test, and then I'd dump the information and move on. And so my grades were always really high. Like I could cram the night before, remember everything I learned, and then take my test, ace my test, and forget it all. So like I didn't actually absorb information at all, and I think that's like something I suffered with in school. Like I couldn't tell you the histories or anything like that, even though I learned them all. I can't tell you geography. Like I just learn it and I dump it. I don't think that makes me dumb. I think I'm a very smart person, and I take things that I care about in a lot easier, but just things I don't care about, I just tend to dump. Or if I'm not using them, it's like things that I actively like enjoy, I do keep. However, my boyfriend was always someone who struggled and worked so much harder, and I think that has made him a better person, a smarter person than me, all of these things. And I really look up to his qualities and his traits of him having to learn to study, having to learn to be good at things. And like I am someone now that if I'm not good at something, I don't want to do it because I've always just been like innately good or bad at things, and I never learned necessarily to persevere in something, which I think is a very tragic flaw of myself. Versus I love watching him get better. Like he has this like strive, this like inner part of him that just like wants to do good and wants to get better at something, and that is so fun for him, and I very much find it enjoyable to watch him. For me, I'd be miserable. And it's because I never learned those skills as a kid, which is a tragic flaw in myself. And I could probably try and learn them as an adult, but I'm lazy and set in my ways. And I do try to be more aware of it, but there's some things I can't stop myself. I'm just never going to be the person that's going to suck at something and then try to be the best. I'll just quit. Anyways, I'm not like absolutely obsessed with this in the first 40 pages. I thought I was farther into it, so knowing that I'm only like 30-ish pages in has me more excited because I think that as I've been reading, I've gotten more invested into it. Also, the writing is very descriptive, so that's a little bit harder for me. I don't really typically enjoy descriptive writing, but hopefully I'll just like warm up to it a little bit. I got exciting packages today. When I was with Lexi in the States, she put fake nails on me for Sabrina Carpenter, and then I liked them. So when I was with her, we went and we bought 2 more. I bought this like fall colored pack. And then I also got this one, which I have been waiting for like Christmas time. Like I want to put this on closer to Christmas or like winter. It is winter, yeah. It's literally frosty outside for me, but the rest of the world, it's still fall. So I think I will do this one soon, but not yet. But I saw that these were on sale and I knew I wanted the nail glue from Glamnetics because this is what Lexi used on me and she said it was really good. And it's like a brush form instead of like the nail glue that comes with these. And so then I was like, I'm also going to get some Glamnetics because I think that they are like a better quality nail for the most part. And there were some on sale, so I got some more. I got these ones, which I'm really excited about. They're just like super nude and they like ombre up, and I think that these are going to look absolutely stunning on. I got these ones, which are a little bit fun. They have like a black and a white tip, and I like a very like classy look on my nails. I typically don't like to go like super overboard. I used to get my nails done constantly. I used to get them like customly done. I think my favorite one I ever did, I had this nail was like clear. I wonder if I can find a picture of it. I wore it to Mexico prior to COVID. It was like clear and then had like butterflies and glitter like in the clear. It was very, very cute. I used to get them done like crazy, but it's a lot of money. And then the last one I got, I think this is going to be the next one I put on just because it feels like my vibe currently, is these ones, which are like leopard print, but then they also have some of these French tips. I'll have to see what sizes I use because the problem with getting like ones like this are like, depending on what nails you use, they'll look different depending on the pattern, but I thought this one wouldn't really matter that much. I might put this one on. I don't know if I should put it on today though. I really want to, but with cleaning the house, I'm dipping my hand in a lot of like water with like soap and like chemicals in it, and I think that's gonna make them lift, but I like really want them on at the same time because they make me feel like more put together. And if I do thumbnail pictures tomorrow, these would look really nice in my thumbnail pictures, so maybe I do put one on. The problem with me buying things is I'm one of those people that when I buy something, when I open it, I get a rush and I want to buy more of them, and I'm like, wow, these are so pretty, I should have bought more. Like there's so many different ones I could get that I should get more, but also I should put them on myself and see if I'm any good at putting them on. Like Lexi was so good at putting them on. They stayed for like 2 weeks that they felt worth it. I feel like these ones would be really good around like New Year's. So maybe like fall right now, Christmas/winter time, and then New Year's. I should get more while they still have this collab with Glamzilla because I really liked hers. There's like one with pearls that I thought was really cute, and there's also one with like a Santa hat that I thought was so cute, but I'm just like not super Christmassy typically, so I went like more like winter. If you're in Canada, let me know if there's any brands you get of fake nails, like if you use like press-on nails like this, and where you buy them from. When we were in the States, we went just like to Marshall's and found these, and then I did look at Winners around me, and they had like a couple but not a lot, and so I ordered these just like online because places do ship to Canada or whatever. I was debating checking out like Shoppers to see if they had any like good ones. I know like this brand and this one are like really good, and then my Sabrina Carpenter ones were just like OPI and they were thinner, but they still lasted a long time. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. I do fear that I am actively living in Delululand and I cannot get myself out of it. First off, I've been binge playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. I had tried this game before and could not get into it, so then for some reason I want a new game to play, and I was like, well, I own this game, so I started watching like videos on it, and now I'm obsessed, and I played for like 12 hours
hours straight yesterday. So today I have to pace myself. I have to reward myself from reading with Dreamlight Valley. So if I get a certain amount of pages done, I get to like play for a bit. And that's how I do everything in my life. I'm a child. I like reward systems. It just seems to work really well for me. But I just started that system today. So we're reading Red City. This is why I'm Delulu, because I still want to come here and tell you that I still think this could be a 5-star, but I am struggling. I'm not very far in, like only 40 more pages since last time I talked to you. I'm on page 82. The fact that this doesn't have chapter numbers is really hard for me when like trying to figure out where I am in the book and like tell you guys. Part 1 is just very slow. It's very much science-y. It's going over my head in a lot of ways because I didn't like physics. I did like chemistry, and there is like a lot of chemistry in this, but I feel like I just don't read to read a textbook, and there's something about like made up stuff that works for me. But when we're talking literally about chemical compounds, I'm like, this is too close to real world schooling. But I am intrigued. Like, I'm really intrigued by the alchemy at the same time, so I don't really know how to explain this. I just kind of wish it was a little bit less real world-ish in its like science, but also I think a lot of people will appreciate it for that aspect because it like plays on real science that we've had and things like that, and like almost feels like this could exist in our world in like a secret society. But it's a lot of like education right now, and I typically do love a school setting, but I don't love like learning out of a textbook, and so reading paragraphs and paragraphs on those kind of things has been really hard for me. And then it's a really descriptive writing style, which is what I'm struggling with also, because I don't find the characters that interesting at this moment in time. So then when the writing gets really wordy, I'm kind of struggling. But we just got to a part that I was really intrigued about. We're finally getting to the part where our female character is like learning alchemy. And I've always, I think in the last clip I literally said I enjoyed her character better, but the guy's POV better because it was about the alchemy and stuff. And so now that we've swapped, well, not swapped, but now that she's finally learning alchemy, I'm like intrigued. Like my interest got piqued right away. And I have a couple good sources say like part 2 really like ramps up with what I'm probably wanting out of the story. I do think I went into this with like a little bit false expectations because of this setup, and I wish I had known that this setup was them as kids. They're not kids actually, they're 15, but they read really young to me. I wish I had read the synopsis more, or like paid more attention and like known about this like slower start, that it doesn't just start off in crime syndicates. I feel like I was expecting really dark, gritty from the beginning, and it's a lot more like how these children, how these young individuals have earned their spots and then become part of the crime syndicate. I was expecting like family upbringings, like they were both raised in the families, like very like Romeo and Juliet. I feel like a lot of people compare this to like Romeo and Juliet vibes without the tragedy. Well, maybe it has tragedy, I don't actually know. That's what I was expecting, like two opposite crime like families, but they're using family in terms of like just like the syndicate as a whole. They're not actually like born and raised in those families, and I was expecting a lot of like found family values because of that. So I think that that also did me dirty, is like my expectations were probably a lot more similar to what I read in House of Bane and Blood, but more fantasy leaning. And so I just feel like I didn't have great expectations set for this one, but that I can appreciate what it's doing, and I'm hoping as I get into some of those more darker, grittier, fast-paced parts of a story that I know are coming up, I will start to really love this. I'm really early on, so like I could still give this a 5-star. This is why I'm slightly delulu. But like at 80 pages, I have not made my thoughts up about this book at all. I'm also nitpicking a little bit what my expectations were. I'm seeing how they don't live up to those expectations, so I'm definitely nitpicking. So there is still a possibility for me to literally love this book, but also I'm glad we found a 5-star, because I don't think like from the very first page I felt, oh my god, 5-star energies. It could build up to a 5-star, but it isn't like this is a 5-star from the first sentence, which I have felt before. And that's how I thought I was gonna feel about this book. So it feels like a letdown. That's just my expectations again. So as I'm changing my expectations, I'm hoping to really enjoy this book more. Also, it was my first Marie Lu, and I just was not expecting her to be so descriptive and wordy. I was really expecting a straight to the point writing, which is like my preferred writing style. And so that expectation also didn't help, because I was not prepared for wordiness either. And also my addiction to Dreamlight Valley is not helping, because all I'm thinking about is going and harvesting my carrots and selling them for money, because I need more money to do things. My goal for this morning is to get to part 2, and then maybe tonight get to part 3, but that also feels like a lot of reading when I'm not in the biggest reading mood currently. But also I need to get this video up, so I'll do what I have to do.
I forget to bring Red City to this house to film my thumbnail clips. So it's back home and you just get a little pop-up. I made really good progress in this. I got to part 2 and I will say part 2, things changed for me. All of a sudden I was flipping through the pages. Part 1 felt very long and part 2 is flying by for me. I really love that we're finally in what I expected from this story. I expected there to be crime syndicates and doing bad things and morally gray moments and really just bad moments, like dark moments that aren't right at all, not even like morally gray, just morally wrong. That's what I expect from a crime syndicate family. I expect you to have to follow the rules no matter what. And I feel like we finally got there and I really have been enjoying that. I really do enjoy Sam's POVs quite a bit. I do still have some complaints though. So probably not the 5-star I wanted out of it. So I'm really glad that we found a 5-star. However, I am still confident that this is going to be a strong 4 stars. For me, I think the complaints come from the lack of depth in this in a lot of ways. I think that I want more information on a lot of things. I want more character depth, not even just like the main 2 characters, but the side characters. I'm struggling with them. They kind of feel like they just exist for a purpose, not more fleshed out than that. I feel like there's a lot of social commentary in this story about capitalism and stuff like that. But sometimes I feel like when a story is so heavy on those themes, it can lose some of the richness in like character depth because it's just about the message itself. And I do think that this book is kind of doing that for me. I want the side characters to feel like real side characters. They're real moments in our main characters' POVs. I think specifically I find that in his POVs, I struggle. Her POVs, I feel like make more sense to me. Like the side characters work a little bit more. I think she has more depth to me than he does in general. And then I have complaints about the magic system because this does start off with a school setting and we do learn a lot of like hard things about this magic system. We learn about its hard rules. We learn about how it works, like the chemistry and the physics behind it. But then we get to this drug called sand, and I think that alchemy itself was kind of fleshed out, but sand, it just feels like an insert and it just does these things that I'm like, okay, but how does it do that? What's actually happening? And I just like don't really understand how this drug makes her like completely disappear essentially, where people don't even remember hearing her. I could understand it enhancing her a little bit, but like it's so drastic to me that I'm like, I don't actually know how this is working. I also kind of wish in the school setting we had learned more about like the uses of the magic. As we've gotten into part 2, we've learned that like there's different types of users. We knew about the philosophers, we did know about that, but then there's also like weapons or bioalchemists, there's doctors essentially, and I wish that I had kind of gotten to know those things, because then in part 1 I could like speculate on who I think each of our characters were going to be, like what type of person, like what type of alchemist they were going to be, and I think that would be really engaging for me personally to like process. I love to theorize when I read. I love to figure out where the plot is going. I love to like try and guess at red herrings or like plot twists and things like that, but I also love to guess like just like little things like that based on characterizations. What would they be? Like, is she going to be this, but would she really have like thrived in this? And I wasn't really given the ability to do that because we're just kind of like thrown into the alchemy world. I really wish Sam's POV had spent more time in the alchemy world in part 1. And then my other complaint is actually their friendship. I think that it feels a little insta-lovey to me. I'm actually kind of shocked how much I feel like this revolves around them, because it's not marketed as a romantasy at all. I've only seen it marketed as a fantasy, but it feels to me currently like a romantasy because of how heavy it's just them together and them thinking about each other constantly. But I find them a little insta-lovey because I feel like I never actually got to see their friendship moments in part 1. Most of their friendship happened in letters and them just talking to each other. And I have complained about this many a times. I'm someone who is very much like, I want to see things on paper. I think this came about with my friends the other day. We talked about if you're a why person or a how person, and when you solve a problem, is your first instinct, why is this way? Because then the why leads to the how you're gonna fix it, or is your first instinct just like, how am I gonna fix this? I am a how person, not a why person, which is interesting when I talk about magic systems, because then I feel like a why person in that. But I feel like in my reading in general, you see the how part come about because like, actually no, Because when I'm thinking about that, we got the why it works, but we didn't get like the how it works. So I'm still a how person even with the magic systems. I want to see how things work. I want to see how their relationship is the way it is, not why their relationship is this way. And I think the letters gave a lot of why, but I didn't get to see the how. I didn't get to see them like laughing a lot. Like, I wish we had more moments of them actually just being friends, but I feel like their friendship is just built on a need for someone to just be around and listen, but not listen because they didn't tell each other anything. So I am kind of struggling with that. However, I'm enjoying this book. I know I just complained a lot about it, so it feels kind of wild, but like there are a lot of things I love about this book. I love alchemy. I think it's really cool. I think it's really interesting how you can take like one thing and turn it into another, and I love every time we get to see it in action. I love those moments. I really enjoy the commentary on capitalism, on like our need for money and not caring about the other people. I also love that both of these characters are from immigrant families in different ways. He is taken from his home essentially and given a better life and money here. Quotations on that. She had a mom who came here and was like fighting for a better life for her, but then she is like grown up in a struggling family. And I do love that we get to see those perspectives, and things about that have been really engaging for me in the story. Actually, whenever we get Sam's mom's POV, I love them. They're like my favorite POVs in the entire story. I could have just read from Connie's POV the entire time. So yeah, I'm like actively enjoying this. I feel like it feels like I'm talking like I don't, but I am, and I'm excited to finish it. I was flying through it. I read so much of it yesterday. I'm like halfway done. I read like 200 pages yesterday. Definitely enjoying it, but I feel like I had different expectations for this, and I'm trying just to like reset them a little bit. A few clips back I talked about my nails, and I did end up putting them on, and I think they look nice. When I get myself into thumbnails like this, I'm just laughing at myself. I finally filmed a thumbnail, and the thing is, my library is new enough that I don't know where any of these books go. So good luck to me. It's gonna take me a very long time to get these back on the shelves, but this is what the process looks like. It's kind of insane for something like this, but it's a lot of fun. It's like, what books are gonna stay open like this by themselves and not be wrecked? But also, I just did an unboxing for Instagram. We'll see if I end up posting it. But I got the To Cage a Wild Bird from Fairy Loot, and I love it. I read this book while I was away, like when I went to see Lexi. So I never vlogged it or anything, but I gave this 4 stars, and I will talk about it in my wrap up coming up. But I'm very, very happy I got this edition because I love this book so much. If you are a dystopian lover but still want it to be romantic-y, this will be for you. Yep. Okay, that's all I had to say. It's cleanup time now. And then we're gonna go home and either read like I should or play Disney Dreamlight Valley. And I also might pick myself up an eggnog latte on the way home. I literally swear the second I sit down to film, Miley goes to eat. And it's kind of cute though, because I think it's because she knows I'm gonna stick around. She is that cat that follows you around literally everywhere. So the second I walk away from her food area, even if she's in the middle of eating, she leaves to follow me. So like, it is cute. Like, she just thinks that like, oh, I'm filming, I'm gonna be here for a while. But also, I wish my cat would maybe not starve herself just because I'm walking away. I mean, she has food all the time. She's not starving herself at all. She loves food. That's me being dramatic. But like, sometimes I'm like, I just want to walk downstairs to go to bed. You can continue eating. I will literally wait upstairs until she's done because I feel bad. Rewarding myself with Disney Dreamlight Valley did work really well yesterday because I did finish Red City. I did this thing yesterday where like every time I accomplished a task, whether that was like pages read or I had to send out some bookmarks or film my thumbnail pictures, I got to go onto Disney Dreamlight Valley and farm some carrots because I'm trying to get some money so that I can do some upgrades and buy a bunch of stuff, and I just want to have like money in my bank. So every single time I farmed carrots, and I made a good amount of money off of my carrots yesterday because of that. So I think I'm going to try it again today. And I farmed carrots as soon as I woke up, and then I got ready because I knew I had to film this clip, and then I have to get this video out to you. I'm hoping today. So I hope it exports and stuff in time, and then it can get out. And once that's out, I'm gonna give myself some time to farm some carrots and maybe do a couple quests because I feel like I'm making myself do a lot versus yesterday it was like 30 to 40 minute things, and then I farmed carrots and then I moved on. But I might give myself a little bit more time to play. But I honestly need to start my next vlog, and I have no idea what's coming next. Like, literally no idea, because I had so much fun doing this video. I'm like, what if I just did it again? What if I just kept reading till I read a 5-star Goodreads nominees again? There's something that was so like fun about this video for me and like really kept me reading reading and wanting to read. It's like the high of chasing that 5-star and like, will this book be one or not? And like testing the bounds of everything. I don't know, it really worked for me. It's something that I really should do more on my channel. It's just quite a big vlog for me because it takes a lot of books because I get so excited. I get so into it. Like, I could have read this book 3, but I'm so into it that I'm like, I want to read more books for it. So yeah, I have no idea what's coming next. I should read some sequels, but I'm just like not feeling it currently, which sucks because I was feeling it like 4 days ago. But I do have Brimstone and Strength of the Few and like things I should read, but I'm struggling. I'm struggling with what vlog to come up next. So if you have ideas, let me know. And let's finish this vlog up. Let's talk about Red City. I have very, very mixed thoughts on this book. I actually cannot give you a star rating, but I can tell you that I'm really glad we found a 5-star in the merge and that perfection, because this was not a 5-star for me. I'm debating between a 3 and a 4. For me, this is going to be a book that I think I need to sit with. I sometimes finish a book and I know exactly how I feel about a book, and then sometimes I need to sit with it and either I'm going to love this book more as I get away from it, or I'm going to critique it harder. This will either be a 4 or a 3 depending on those feelings, because it has so much things that I could like literally linger on and love. Things like the story on capitalism and how money does not equal happiness, money does not bring you happiness, how you can have all the money in the world and still be miserable, which I think is such a heavy hitting story and something that people don't really grasp sometimes. Like, yes, some money can help you. Yes, no one is saying that money isn't like something, but you can be happier on the streets than you could be as a billionaire. People in multi-million-dollar companies still get depression. They still have issues. Money can often be used as a band-aid, and I think we saw that in this story. And I thought that that was a really beautiful storyline, and I could really be thinking about that. I could be thinking about just greed and capitalism in general and how well the story developed those messages. I think for a long time I will think about Sam and her relationship with her mother and her story as an immigrant from this family that gave up everything to come here for a better life, even if that life was on the streets of an American city. Like the dream America sells, the conversation on that, like all of that was so well done. I'm really think Sam was a good character. I think she was the strongest character, which then leads me to the weaknesses of this story and what I think I could be critiquing more is I really think the character struggled. For me personally, Ari was a useless POV. Not a useless character, but a useless POV, and I wish we didn't get it, or we just got like snippets of it. Like my favorite POVs actually in the story were Connie, and we did not get a lot of them, so I kind of wish Ari had like switched to that and just been a few POVs here and there, because we see that a couple of times in the story, so it wouldn't have been weird. But I feel like he was used as just a way to show that he did care about her. He did have some really good anxiety rep in my opinion. I did enjoy is a bad word to use for something like this, but I never know what to say. I thought it was really well crafted and well done with his story on anxiety, but I feel like I would have preferred his chapters to have been instead in Sam's head, with moments of her and Ari together, moments of their friendship, moments of their relationship, because I feel like this book was built on this friendship that they built in part 1, but to me I never got to see that friendship. I always felt like it was a very flimsy thread. I wish it was more developed, and I wish we had just gotten more time with them, spent more time together, things like that. And I think removing his POV, we could have done that, because we had to focus a little bit on his side characters and stuff in his POVs, even though they were literally stick figures. I just like truly think that this could have been incredible in just Sam's head. I think I just like really related to her. My favorite character in this is actually Will, and I think it's because we get a lot of moments of Sam and Will together. I really understood their relationship and what Sam wanted out of it and why Sam wanted it and all those things, and I found myself living her relationship through her. Like I found myself rooting for the good moments and crying at the bad moments. I really think that the Will chapters were really well done. I feel like I understood Will as a character as we got to see him like break down in some moments or suit up in others. Like I feel like we saw the barriers, the shields he has up, and then also a little bit of the insides and why he is the way he is. And I wish we had gotten that out of Ari, because I'm supposed to root and love Ari. I'm not supposed to root and love Will. I mean, I'm not rooting for Will, but I just think he was a very beautifully done, nuanced character, especially compared to the rest of them. He's still a little more surface level than I want, but I think his character was deep dived into the most, and I just wish I had gotten that out of every other character. This book is short. It's 400 pages, but like we have epaulets, that's what they're called, right? And they're on their own page sometimes. Like That's a full page for just like a paragraph of writing. And the font is decently big. I think that this could have been longer, in my opinion. It could have been more developed. I think I would have preferred this story to have been more than this story. I think things tied up a little cleanly for me, where like I'm not sure I need to read the next book. I think I'm going to, because I do think the story was just like so unique in what's being published currently. I just think things tied up nicely, and it didn't leave me like wanting to read the next one as much as I would like. I think I didn't really care about Ari and Sam's relationship, so that didn't help. And then with the taking down of the system, it's also quick and clean, in my opinion. There is like a plot thread that's like moving forward to book 2, but we're setting up like a new big bad, in my opinion. And it feels like a little monster of the weekly a little bit, and I'm just like not sure how I feel about that. I kind of wish we had left some of the bads around. I don't know how to explain this without spoiling things, but yeah, I think I could like really sit on this and love it, or I could really sit on this and critique it. And so I'm just like not sure on my thoughts on this, but it was not a 5-star, so it would not have ended this video. So I'm glad we ended on the verge. That's all I gotta say here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I need to be done yapping so that I can play some Disney Dreamlight Valley. If you have any tips for Disney Dreamlight Valley, let me know. I'm trying to hoard things, but I'm normally a seller. I like to get money really quick, so that's why I'm farming, because I'm trying to hoard everything instead of selling things, except for my carrots. Be gone, carrots. I don't like carrots in real life. They can make me money in the game. If you'd like to see me read a little bit more 5 stars or learn more about my taste, I'm gonna leave my 5-star audit vlog. This is like my favorite video I created this year, where I saw if I could predict what a 5-star would be based on things I like and stuff. And listen, this book could have made it into that video, and it was not a right prediction. It doesn't always work, but it did work in this video, and I'm so proud of this video. So would love it if you checked it out. And then if you want to stay on my 26 and 2026, I'll also leave the de-influence my TBR video, because I'm still making that list and I'd love some advice. And then if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me a carrot emoji, duh. And have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.